Before I forget, let me mute the fucking video because it always echoes.
I feel a bit more awake tonight. Last night I was just dead.
I could tell by like the last like half hour of the movie or so. You were looking tired.
Yeah, I'm so fucking tired, man.
All right, we are live. How's it going, everybody? Happy Halloween. All right, and there's Pat hopping in soon in a second. We're going to watch a fucking perfect film, which I adore, and got me into horror. That was Gareth from earlier. Thank you, Gareth.
Gareth will be up to bed now, I think.
Yeah, that's
a bit late for Gareth this. So.
I popped in and said that. That's basically is all right. I'm off to bed. Yo, good luck.
Yeah.
They're 5 hours ahead of us.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Happy Halloween, Pat.
Happy Halloween.
You know Mike? Mike, you know Pat?
We've never met. No. I just subscribed today. I just subscribed to Pat today when I seen the link. So.
Oh, thank you very much.
Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you as well.
I know Pat through Al.
That's right, the bat.
It's nice how it all weaves together, kind of, and shit. Like everybody knows somebody, and they know somebody you know, and everything.
But yeah, it really is. I love it when the people from the outside come in. You know, that's always cool.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be definitely fun. I watch this movie every year since I was 5 years old. It was when I first saw it. It was the first horror film I ever saw, and it is still absolute perfection to me. Like, when was the first time, Pat, that you saw Halloween?
Actually, I saw it when it came out.
Yeah. How was that experience seeing it in theaters when it first came out?
Well, I'm not quite. You know, I like the movie. It's okay. It's okay. It's. I like to. You know, I just, you know, back then when I was 14, I'm aging myself here. I was 14. It was pretty cool. It just didn't really, you know, after I saw some other horror films and whatnot, you know, like I love the second one. The second one is ferocious.
Yeah, he's a lot more brutal than the second one.
Yes. I like this one okay, but I'm not, you know, I have respect for it for what it is and what it's done. But I'm not like, you know, like perfection. I'm not there. I'm not there for Halloween, but I do like it, you know, for what it, you know, definitely open, you know, John Carpenter definitely came through the door that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre opened, and, we're the better for it.
I even go back more and say even before Texas Chainsaw with Mario Bava's Twitch of the Death Nerve, as I always cite that as like the film to like really start shaping the slasher genre. Like, are you into Italian horror at all?
I do like giallos. I like giallos, and I liked. Yeah, we covered. Me and Al, we actually covered Fulci's trilogy. His Gates of Hell. Yes,
I remember seeing one of your videos on that. Yeah, because I covered all three of them too, like a few months back, and I love Fulci so much, but Bava is just a fucking master.
I have to get into more of his. I'm an Argento fan too. I like Argento's work. I didn't like the last thing I watched from him. That was really surprising. I did not expect to
was
be
it the newest one, Dark Glasses?
No, it's actually called Giallo.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've never even seen that one. Like, what a run from Purple Crystal Plumage all the way to Opera to me is like, what a fucking run of movies that is.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Just from his whole 70s and 80s, like, was absolutely phenomenal movies back to back to back, which is unreal. for director to keep doing that. Hey, what's up, Sean?
It's sort of sad though, the Italian film industry was so cutting edge. They did a lot of fantastic films, and then today they don't really make very many movies at all.
They don't. Yeah, they don't. Which is I'm interested to see Argento's new film because I've heard mixed things on it. I've heard that it's like a nice return to the giallo like form that he started his career with, and then I hear some people that just think it's run of the mill and not too original, and it's just kind of him going through the motions.
I got that. We got that with Giallo too. I mean, it was a good cast, but man, that movie was just like it was suffering so bad. And then you read about the background of that movie, and it's like it was so disappointing. And but
issues.
You always keep your hopes up for a veteran director to stay informed, even though the marketplace and the audience has changed. Can they keep up? Can they stay up with the current trends, or are they doing what they usually do? Of course, I mean, do you think that some of the directors? I think some of the directors liked Argento and Romero and Carpenter and even Craven in some respects. I think a lot of times, I think they want to do something new, but their fan base won't let them do it, and that's disappointing.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing with sequels, that it's so hard to make a good sequel because you have a group of half of the people that wanted the exact same thing as the first movie. Then they get something different if they try to do something different and they're not happy. Or you want them to do something different, they give you the same stuff and you're not happy because you want something different. Like, so it's hard to make a good sequel like that, because you can never please everybody, obviously. But
no,
there's
look at George Romero. I mean,
at
least Carpenter got to spread his wings out, and so did Craven. But Romero, he never really got to really spread his wings.
Yeah.
He was all, stuck doing another Day of the Dead, or Island of the Dead, or the Boat of the Dead. I mean, he just got stuck into that, and I think maybe toward the end he made peace with that, and he tried to, because he still had his chops. I mean, Land of the Dead is a very good movie.
I like most of his second trilogy of Dead films. Like maybe not so much Diary of the Dead as much, but I enjoy Survival and what's the other one? Land, right? Yeah. They're not bad. I mean, obviously compared to Night and Dawn and Day, it's like a completely different director. It feels like almost.
Yeah, but Land of the Dead is totally made for the commercial market. You know, so I mean, of course, they did that too because they had Universal had success with the Dawn of the Dead remake, and so they said, well, we just get back the master and let him do one of his movies as well, and back to back, because I love the Dawn of the Dead remake. I love it so much more than the original.
I love the remake too. Zack Snyder did phenomenal.
Yeah. It's a fantastic film. Yeah, even without the gore, just the acting among those people the cast was just amazing.
No, it's one of probably my top 10 remakes.
Yes,
like a classic of a horror classic.
It's one of those rare times where a remake is actually a little bit better than the original. And I know a lot of people like the original, but I just feel like the remake was. I mean, the acting was just really, really great. Jake Weber, you don't see that kind of acting in a horror movie. You see that in serious dramas and stuff like that, art house movies and whatnot. But
it's always great to see performances like that in horror.
Agreed.
The movie Creep with Mark Duplass.
Yes. The Duplass brothers.
That's one of my favorite performances in a found footage movie, if not the best. Like, he is unbelievable in that movie. And you don't see, especially in found footage, you don't see performances like that. I enjoy that movie.
That's one thing I am sort of glad that they never did with Halloween. They never did it found footage.
Resurrection a little bit, but
not. I mean, because it would have been. they could have been easily, they could have easily have done it with the found footage. Like, oh my God, Michael Myers is back. But they resisted that, and I always was grateful for it.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'd want to see a fully found footage Halloween. I don't know, Mike. What do you feel about a found footage Halloween? You hear us, Mike?
Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah.
I was saying, what do you feel?
I was just reading the chat. Sorry.
Found footage Halloween. How do you feel about that?
I suppose maybe. I don't know. Maybe not really my thing. I suppose if they do come back to Halloween in a few years' time, if they did go down that route, maybe. But I think that ship sailed in terms of the whole found footage thing now is maybe kind of maybe slightly past its sell-by date. So if they'd done it maybe 20 years ago, may have been. Yeah, I mean, as you say, Resurrection had like elements of it, but
yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest found footage fan. You know, I did watch VHS 99. Well, I've watched half of it.
You gotta watch it.
I've still got to catch up with the rest of it, but I'm kind of getting a bit tired of it now. And this nostalgia towards the 90s, which I do love, but the whole VHS franchise. It's kind of, I don't know. For me, it's a bit worn out now.
No, yeah.
You've got 94, 99. You had Viral, which I didn't watch, which was apparently terrible.
Yeah.
I just think it peaked with the first two. And I know I'm going off. I know I'm going off track slightly, but a Halloween found footage film probably not for me, really, if I'm being honest. But at this stage, I'm kind of done with Halloween for like a good 7 or 8 years. You know,
I feel like they should just take a decently long break with the whole property of Halloween.
Yeah, they really do need to lay it down. It's going to take a long time for it to recover. You know, it really is. It's going to take a long time for the property to recover and to get fans stoked again. You know, I mean, the Halloween ends the way yeah, that's a tough one. I felt really bad for Halloween fans. I really did. I felt bad for them when they came out, you know, because I was super psyched for the third one because, you know, from the promise that he had laid out, it looked like it was going to be just an amazing ending movie, and then it turned out like I talk about a swerve. I mean, he just felt bad because they had all, you know, they got all that free publicity, all that free hype from everywhere. Think about how that movie benefited from everybody on social media talking about it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we were talking about marketing a movie, and they're saying how expensive it is. Actually, I think marketing a movie these days is actually much cheaper than it used to be because you got people like us out there doing it for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you know, and we're doing it. We're talking about it. It's everywhere. You don't have to go out there and spend the movie costs $20 million, so we're going to spend $20 million to promote it. No, you don't. Yeah, not anymore.
You got people tweeting and Instagramming and all over the place.
You literally only need to like get a few influential people on Twitter and Instagram and a couple of others to start tweeting about it or to start posting it on Instagram or Facebook, and you've got your publicity because that will go viral. People will share it. You know, from doing very little work. Do you know what I mean?
It's definitely a two-edged sword because you know you got the same people hyping it, right? It came out hyped. Everybody came out and saw the first weekend. Then then the reviews came out, and the next weekend it dropped 80% from the box office because it was a bad movie.
Yeah.
But but I felt bad. I did. I just like, wow, what a sad way to end it.
All of us Halloween fans felt bad. The ones who didn't care for it one bit. Which there are people who like it, and that's great for them. Like I'm glad that they do. Just not for me. I didn't like any of this trilogy, this new trilogy. The first one,
I'm still skeptical about some of these major fans of the film, but
Yeah, I think the only thing I was happy about.
I think some of them are doing it for. I think some have got their reasons. That's all I'm going to say about it.
No, yeah, no, I know what you mean. So well, at least we don't have to watch Halloween Ends, and we can watch the best one out of the series. So you have a copy? Does everyone have a copy ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
All Here right. we go.
So we're on go. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Just from the first second with the music kicking in, it's just phenomenal.
Iconic.
I always have to remind myself with this film, as many times as I've seen it, I have to remind myself that the first scene isn't the drive to Smith's Grove, and it's actually Michael Stork. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I always kind of get those scenes mixed up. I always think because I'm just so used to. It's just.
I've always loved how Jamie Lee Curtis didn't ride on her mom's coattails. You know what I mean? Like they could have marketed the shit out of this movie as like featuring the daughter of Janet Leigh from Psycho.
Well, it's funny that she, she had a hard time. When she did this movie, when she auditioned for it, she had just gotten back from she got fired from a sitcom called Petticoat Junction, or Operation Petticoat, and she actually got fired from that role. And so she had to, basically, come in and do this audition. And, she really didn't rely on her parents. And I'll give her credit for that.
Yeah. No, I just mean that it's good that she was able to, like, make a name for herself with this movie, just, like, on her own acting merits. And, like, how good and, like, phenomenal performance that she gave in this. You know, like, you see that sometimes in Hollywood. You'll see actors or actresses that are, their parents are famous actors and they'll get them into projects and you can tell it's like it's a family favor, like get my son into this or whatever. She came out killing it, like from this first movie. And Jamie Lee Curtis has had an amazing career since then.
I think she's had a really good career. I mean, I remember that I remember watching Trading Places, and I saw it in the theater, and I remember how back then she did all those Scream Queen movies, and then she did Trading Places, and she came out there and did her topless scene, and all of a sudden it was Jamie Lee Curtis, the sex symbol, and everybody forgot about her doing horror. It was like, holy crap, it's like, wow, she's pretty.
Yeah, like a complete turnaround.
And I think that really helped her. One of those rare cases where I think that's the only time she's ever done that. But after that, I think it really helped her break out of the Scream Queen mode, because she never saw herself as that. I read an interview with her.
I've heard her talk about it in interviews.
Yeah, I read her interview on People, and she said that if that's what people see her as, that's one thing. She never saw herself as a Scream Queen.
Yeah. Well, it's good for her that she was able to break out of that early typecast.
Did John Carpenter ever acknowledge Black Christmas for the opening shot of this film? Or did he?
He was very
clearly. It looks influenced by it, but
he was good friends with Bob Clark, who directed Black Christmas.
This guy, by the way, is lousy in the sack, by the way, because they go upstairs and then it's like 2 seconds later and he's on his way out.
Short as sexy and ever.
Oh, the one Judith Myers.
Yeah.
I got to interview Sandy Johnson, and she's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
The one thing about this scene, I think it's a bit unrealistic. It's like he looks at the knife as he's plunging it into her.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of turns to look at his hand.
Yeah,
it's like, why would you?
And then he looks at his hand.
Like, why would you do that? It's like you just wouldn't do that.
No, it's a neat little detail.
It's purely for the benefit of the audience to get that, but it just
it's a stylistic choice, but it looks fucking great. Like it was an awesome decision to shoot it like that. Yeah, because he's home alone with Judith. Because I'm doing the whole Halloween franchise this month, and Halloween 6, that old bitch that Tommy Doyle's living with across the street from the Myers house says that she was babysitting Michael Myers that night. No, she was not. Like he's in this house. Like there's no old bitch fucking babysitting him. Like so none of that made sense at all.
No, I could never understand that why they forced Laurie and Michael to be brother and sister.
I hate
clearly established that that they were not.
Never liked it. It ruins the whole mystery of the original movie for me.
Yeah, it takes away the whole background.
Yeah, the mystery, why Laurie and why picking these people, and you just give it a reason. It's like, oh, they're brother and sister. It's like, no, they're not. Like, not for me. Not with just this movie.
That's what made it so great too, because he killed his sister, and and how old is he supposed to be in this movie? About 6, right?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, 6 years old.
6 years. So he's 21 by the time our story picks up.
Yes.
Yeah.
The end. Do you remember the end credits? Fuck it up though, because they say he's 23.
Yep. Yeah.
They got the maths wrong.
Yeah. They did that actually in H2O. At the end of H2O, they did a in memoriam to Donald Pleasance, but they spelled his fucking name wrong.
Oh, you're fucking kidding, man.
ANCE instead of ENC at the
end. I'm not going to pretend to know how to spell his surname, but you'd think they would make
damn sure, right?
Know what his surname was.
Like we're putting this at the end of this movie, and like this guy has been like
in memoriam to the guy
who's just a character, this actor,
laziness,
this whole series, and they're gonna spell his fucking name wrong. Like, oh, that's tragic. Whoever fucked that up.
I love the flat the pulls back now the camera, and it's clearly it's what it's meant to. It's like it's people mention it's like theater. It's not meant to be, nobody behaves like that in real life, but you know what it means. It's,
Yeah, like instead of them being like, "Holy shit, what are you doing?" and like doing something, like it's an artistic shot.
It's like a theater, or it's like a play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's such a great shot.
They're just standing there, like, just like.
I'm surprised Marion Chambers has been in as many Halloween movies as she has been. This Halloween 2.
3, is it? Has she been in 4 films?
She was in
H2O and was she in 20?
Yeah, H2O, and then
the
new trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in the new trilogy. Didn't she die in Kills?
I think so, yeah.
So then, so 4 movies or 5 movies.
Basically, she's done pretty much what Jamie Lee did.
Yeah,
because See,
here's what really ruins it too. With Halloween ends, if you do the age, because Michael Myers is supposed to be 21 by the time he gets 78. So 22 makes him 43. Yeah, another 22 makes them 65 in human years, and you just especially after Halloween Kills, because I asked that Affinity. I said, is he human or is he supernatural? And she said he's a little of both. And I've always looked at him that way, like, okay, he does have some human, he is part human, but he also is, he's also supernatural, and it's like. I always thought they were setting that aspect of his mythology with the latest trilogy, and they didn't. And it's
completely fucked it up.
Just golden opportunity lost.
They went from 2018, he was just a normal human, to Kills where he's like superhuman, to Ends where he's just like geriatric frail old man. It just didn't make. It just went
His
so
whole character arc to the trilogy was terrible. Terrible.
Wouldn't it have made more sense for him to be old and decrepit in 2018 when he's been locked away for 40 years and then he gains strength throughout? You know.
Yeah, for sure.
So by ends, he should be like fucking superhuman. But
I thought that's what they were going to go with the Halloween ends. I really did. I thought they were going to, because he left Easter eggs all over about Halloween 3. And I thought they were going to tie it into the Silver Shamrock. And
I would have loved that. That would have been the best thing.
They would have had him ensnared by, he was powered by a spell. Like had the spell down on the building. And in order to break it, and you could have had your cake and eat it too. You could have had that connection, and then have Lori and her granddaughter go inside there with a couple of allies that they could kill off later, and go down there. In order to escape Michael, they have to break him out of the spell. Okay, you could have did that, and when you did, it could have wiped his mind clean, his memories clean, and so now he no longer remembers Lori. So you could have had Lori live, and you could have had him live as well. So he shuffles off. Now he's just he's not underneath anybody's control, and he just shuffles off. You could have had your cake and eat it too, and I just totally don't understand how that didn't happen.
Because obviously your ass wasn't in Hollywood writing the script. I would have liked that one a lot better. Like,
wouldn't that have been the perfect ending? I mean,
with the whole little homage in Kills with the masks from Silver Shamrock on the kids on the little thing in the, in the fucking playground. That was awesome. And I thought the same thing too when I saw that. I said, like, I wonder if they're going to try to bring that into it. Like, since this is called Halloween Ends, and that's like still part of the Halloween, like, the history of the series. And nothing came of it. It was just like a little homage. But that would have been so much better. Anything really would have been better than Ted Walking with that movie.
Okay, so the shot now of Lottie walking, we get introduced to Haddonfield for the first time. Yeah. Well, in modern day, 78, I should say. So, as a non-American, and I don't know I know you're from Long Island, GT. Pat, I'm not sure where you're from.
Michigan.
So, you're from Michigan?
Uh-huh.
So, that's not too far from Illinois, right?
No, Illinois is right beneath me.
For someone who's from England, right? So I completely buy this as being like, small town Illinois, because I'm not really down with the, the whole geography and that. And I know it's Pasadena, so I know it's a stone's throw from downtown LA. Yeah. But as Americans, can you spot that, or do you buy it? Or do you see the flaws?
He does a great job in this of making it look like a small town like that.
Yeah, it does. Because like where this is filmed, it's like I've been on Google Maps. It's literally like it's like a 30-minute drive from like downtown LA.
Yeah.
It just looks. Yeah. It looks like a small town in like
Pasadena. I wouldn't say it was like overwhelmingly much smaller than it is now, but it was back then. Pasadena was considered like just a suburb. It was known for pretty much one thing. It was known, for the Rose Bowl and the Rose Bowl parade. As far as that goes, that was Pasadena's big fame. Yeah. So it was still relatively new. As far as the building goes, I mean, these are all older houses that were built, first, before subdivisions came in and took over. It does look like small town, though. I mean, like if you went down to Illinois, in some of the towns, probably more southern than not, you would get small towns that look like this.
Yeah, he does, and a lot of it is just great camera work and camera angling and stuff. Just like make it look the way that it's supposed to. I love this shot right here.
Yeah, it's so good, man. I do wonder. It's you have to obviously suspend belief with this film.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
really,
you can't believe a house would be sitting there in that for 15 years without anybody buying it.
Yeah.
but well, what's less believable is in Halloween Ends, where he kills the kid, and that massive mansion sits empty for a few years because why? Because a kid died in it. That was so fucking stupid, man.
Yes.
A kid died in a house, and nobody's gonna buy the house. The house
Yeah,
is a fucking amazing house. It's just so stupid.
there'd be so many empty houses here in America. It'd be
At least the Myers house is only a small house, so maybe it's believable. But the house in Ends is like a fucking like 7-bedroom mansion,
Dude,
and
the
nobody's buying the house.
inconsistency between
Fuck
the
off,
house
man.
in the series is so annoying to me. Like continuity, I always say, is such a big thing with me in franchises. I hate when continuity is broken, and like especially like if it's like the third film in a franchise and you're having a character come back for the third time and it's a different actress or something like that. Like, oh, I hate that. But like, it happens, so you deal with it. But the house in Halloween 5, I hate it. Like it is not the Myers house. Like it looks nothing like the Myers house, and it kills me every time I watch that movie. Like I get mad, like watching it. I'm like, that is not the fucking Myers house. It looks so bad. They actually did a good job in 6. Like it actually looks like it could be the Myers house. Like if they did renovations a little bit to it, but the one in 5 is awful.
Love this scene in the classroom when she looks out and Michael's there. And
oh yeah, and you get that awesome shot of him just in the daylight.
That's always a good. That's always a good scene. Like I the movie I think about when I think of the scene, but they did it on steroids. Is It Follows. You look out there and he's not standing there looking at you. He's coming to you.
Yep, I love It Follows. Yeah. That's such a great movie.
This scene as well. So it's just like classic scene after classic scene. But like Tommy with the pumpkin, and then he runs off, and the bully runs right into the arms of Michael. And
yeah.
You just wish that Carpenter would have added anything or something to justify Michael belonging on to Laurie. There was just something there. It just seems so completely random, and it's just like it sort of doesn't make any sense. It's like why there doesn't have to be a reason, but in a sense it would help that if there is a reason. Like
I see where you're coming from, but like that, I guess that it depends on people's taste. Like you said, like like it's you don't need a reason, but it would be good to have a reason. I'm the type of person that I'm glad there's no reason.
Do you know what the great thing about this film is, though? The great thing about this movie is he only really stalks people who he has like some direct contact with. Yeah. So he doesn't like stalk. He has interaction with the girls through driving the car down the street and they see speed kills. That's kind of like his introduction.
Laurie first, when Laurie drops the key off.
Yeah, of course, that's it. And obviously with Tommy as well, he just happens to see him. It's not like this isn't a film where he just sees around. Like we go, I know, I love 2, but it's not everybody apart from the guy who he kills near the beginning because he needs to kill him to get the change of clothes, and you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from then is just like he has an interaction with them. So he gets curious and he starts to stalk them. It's not just I'm going to go to someone's house and just kill them because I'm a psychopath.
Yeah, no.
There's an interaction going on.
And I just love the mystery of just not like what exactly is it about Laurie specifically that makes him want like stalk her all day long. Like, cause he starts stalking her like early in the morning because they're like at school and shit. All day and night until he starts killing her friends, and he finds out where she's babysitting, and finds out where Annie is babysitting. Like all of that, like he finds out everything about her, and why. It's a mystery, and I think that makes the whole character of Myers.
Well, See, to me, it's like, between the time where he was captured and the time he broke out. See, what really to me is like this is where, like, when Stanley Johnson was talking about how he's a little of both. To me, you could actually make a case that he's already been ensnared by the Silver Shamrock. Like he's already been captured. He's already put underneath the spell. It would, it enables him to move and to know things, that he really ought, he ought not to know.
Yeah.
But of course, they don't allude to that. With the new trilogy, they could have did some backstory. They could have built his backstory a little bit.
No, yeah, that I would have liked, actually. Like we were saying, I would have really liked them to bring, because Halloween 3 is my favorite sequel in the franchise.
Yeah, mine too. Halloween 3.
I adore it. Like I love that movie. So I would love to see the same thing, for them to bring that back around too, for this whole big end of Halloween and stuff that they were hyping so much. They could have had that come into it too.
I mean, it would have been. You imagine how amazing that would have been if they would have had done that. You know,
great.
All of a sudden, there's Lori going inside the Silver Shamrock, and she turns around. There's Tom Atkins there saying, "I'll help you." You know, it would have just blew the doors off the theater.
Yeah,
we need to get Tom Atkins back soon, because Tom Atkins isn't getting any younger. So
yeah, no, I know, right? He's so great.
At the time of this movie, PJ Souls was actually a bigger star than Jamie Lee Curtis was.
Yeah, she was, and she's fucking gorgeous. Like, I think fucking Linda's gorgeous in this movie. PJ Souls was so hot back then.
Yep.
And she stayed like pretty relevant in the horror community over the years, you know? Like she's hosted horror documentaries, and like she's appeared in cameos in horror movies, Devil's Rejects. She played the woman with the kid who Captain Spaulding took their car. Like she's stayed pretty committed into the horror genre.
Love the scene where the car just stops in the middle of the road and then.
Yeah, there's no fucking way that he heard what she said, like, either.
No.
Like, at all. Like, there's no chance.
Not human.
Yeah, exactly. Not a human.
I like this because they establish early on that, like, Laurie's the buccaneer, she's the clever girl.
Yeah.
The other two are kind of slightly the slackers, slightly, and it can't. I mean, I'm not quite sure at what point they brought this sort of like final girl thing into play, where it is the girl who doesn't have sex, doesn't smoke drugs. Although Laurie does smoke weed in this film, it's not like she's completely.
I think it was mostly Friday the 13th that like really kind of set those rules.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have sex, you're gonna die.
Yeah, and then just all the slew of 80 slashers that came after that, and especially holiday themed ones and everything, because it kept that trope going to this day, pretty much.
Gets one of the greatest shots now in movie history for me.
Oh yeah. Every shot in this movie is fucking perfect. Yeah, it's so good. Just with the music right when it kicks in.
I love the fact that, because it's from the early scenes, you can it's a white face. You can't really make out any distinctive features because the mask is quite featureless anyway.
Yeah,
so you can't really make out. Is this just a guy with a really, really white face, or is it? What is?
Yeah, it's from the distance they're at. Like, you can't see the already featureless.
Yeah, face. It's not like he's got a hockey mask on where it's clearly. It's just something.
Yeah, or like an actual like animated Halloween mask and colorful and shit.
Sean's in the chat. He said the biggest question is, how did Michael learn how to drive? How to drive since he was institutionalized? That's a really good question, actually.
That's
What would have happened if that car would have been a stick shift?
It is explained in Halloween 6. In that scene a little bit ago, when that short little scene with Loomis and the other doctor walking down and then saying, well, maybe someone gave him lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Wynn, then that he comes back in Halloween 6, Dr. Wynn, and is the whole leader of the cult of Thorn and shit like that, and the whole thing that controls Michael. And they reveal it there, like that Wynn was always looking after Michael, so he taught him how to drive.
Okay.
So yeah, there's
Halloween 6.
For sure.
And the Bat's here too. Al's in the chat.
Oh yeah, what's going on, buddy?
Sheriff Brackett's character was treated so badly in Halloween Kills, man.
Yeah.
You know, just the guy lost his daughter to Michael, and then they just kill him off. Just like, and the guy's like 85, and why is he working in a hospital as a security guard at that age? Shouldn't he be retired?
He definitely should.
He's the world's oldest security guard.
By 85, he probably should be in a nursing home.
He literally was about 85. You know, he wasn't young in 78. I mean,
No. In fact, that was just his corpse. They were using special effects to have him move around and like play his actual self. He was 122. I think it is cool though in like Halloween H2O and in the beginning of Resurrection when she has the Raggedy Ann doll. She has it in her room here.
Yeah.
So it's like a cool little callback in H2O to this.
This scene where she looks out into the back garden and this is kind of a scene where you think with this scene you kind of wonder, is she imagining this? You know, clearly
shot that way.
The previous scene, she clearly sees something, but with this one, you think, is she? Her mind's, her imagination's working overtime, and she's just because he's just gone. He's there, and he's gone so quickly that
like you just like picture him like when the camera's not there, he just dies out of focus.
Yeah, I've seen the
way it's shot though is to kind of make it imply that a little. I think. Like, did she really see him or not? Like, did she just see him earlier and now she's kind of on edge?
Mm-hmm. Look at all the supernatural elements that play into this. I mean, even now, they set the template right then and there. I mean, they set it up perfectly. But still, of course, it was still funny to me is when Lewis puts 6 into him. And then, and he walks away from that, and yet she puts that hanger in his eye, and he's like, "Oh my god!" That always made me laugh. That made everybody laugh at the theater.
Oh, with the hanger in the eye. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they laughed. I mean, he got shot. He got shot, and then he walked away from that. But she puts a hanger in his eye, and all of a sudden it's like it's like his kryptonite.
Yeah.
There's things that happen. There are things that happen in this film, like the trope of like turning your back on someone you've supposedly killed. It's not a trope at this point, I don't think. It's more like you look at it and go, "Oh, why did she do that?" But this is like 44 years ago, so I don't think it's something that was really now it's a trope, and you think, "Why would you do that?"
Right? Yeah.
In '78, that was probably a perfectly normal thing to do, but after so many horror films down the years, you look at it now and go, no, just don't turn your back on them, stay looking at them, and maybe try and chop the head off or something.
As soon as you get their ass
Oh
on the ground,
yeah. That is one thing that that drives me nuts.
as soon as you get their ass down on the first time on the ground, you just smush their face into mush with like a fire extinguisher, like Casper knows Irreversible from that movie.
Right.
Like just end it like right then and there, because you know that fucker's getting back up if you don't.
Right.
With all the movies that we've gotten like that since like that whole thing, that trope started.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Which is funny because that's Scream made fun of that too, by he won't be, he's not going to be in the sequel, or whatever she said to him when she thought when she killed Billy, she shot him and then put one in his head. Yeah, you're not coming back. You're not coming back from that.
Yeah. I've never been a Scream fan. I like a few things from the first movie, and that's like it. Like I can't stand the sequels. Like it's just too, like it takes a lot, like a horror comedy, like perfectly balanced.
Yeah, I know. You tell people that it's a horror comedy. That's what it was made as, and they're really surprised. They say, well, it wasn't made as a horror comedy, but it was. Yeah. But the first scene was so violent that it took it out of that. And
it makes it serious, and it forces you to take it semi-seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big issue for me, is that it forces me to take it seriously, even though, it's being meta and it's being self-referential and everything. And it is almost like borderline parody, but it's still taking itself seriously enough that I have to take it seriously. And it's ridiculous. And it never worked for me. It's just a series that I never liked.
And it's always someone related to Sydney. And it's just like, wow. How many times can you go to that well?
Yeah.
It's like I don't understand that. It's like,
how many times you survive another massacre?
Right.
I don't know. That's the one. If people ask every now and then, like, what franchise would you want to just die? Scream. Like, it's not even a question. Like, it just immediately comes out of my mouth. Just let it out already. But people fucking adore that franchise. And that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
The whole car journey now, I love the scene where they go to meet Sheriff Brackett, and he explains that someone's broken into the store and a couple of knives and a couple of masks have been taken. But has you ever noticed how quickly it gets dark? Like it's broad daylight, and then they make another journey, and then it's just pitch black, and it's like that happened really, really quick. It's like
that happens in H2O also. I pointed that out in my video for that. When in the beginning, when Marion's house is broken into, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes to check it out, it's daytime. He comes out 5 minutes later, it's pitch black out. Like, come on, like they really couldn't pay attention to that. Like that
just seems like such a I love the scene when Michael drives past in the background as well. Have I missed that scene now?
No. That's when right here, yeah, because Loomis.
Donald Pleasance. Sorry, Donald Pleasance turns up. Yeah, and you see Michael go past in the background.
He has no idea how close he is.
So good,
at that moment, and it's awesome. And it's so subtle, like right here, like when it's in the corner of the frame.
I'm surprised the girls wouldn't pull over there after they got done smoking the J. I mean, as soon as the window went down there, you would smell that coming out of the car.
Oh, of course. Well, that's because Brackett's just a terrible cop. That's why. He really is.
See, it's getting dark now. Like as soon as it cuts to that, but
I
would say that the scene with Pleasant stood there looks more like California. It just feels more like
it looks more urban.
Yeah. It's this bit about Ben Tramer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's still alive in this universe?
Yeah, right.
He isn't.
I'm so happy for him. I'm so glad.
Donald Pleasance was a well-known actor. You know, he was a really he had a he'd done some great movies. You know, I'm always surprised to see how much these older actors throw themselves into a role like this. You know?
Oh yeah, it's he was in hundreds of movies, and
Yeah.
he was in a lot of horror movies too.
Toward the end, I mean, a lot of actors
Yeah,
toward the end of their career, like John Saxon, and I mean, think about some of the older actors. You know, I was surprised, when you see John Saxon do, horror or Chuck Connors or what have you. And they did it. They did it, and they embraced it. It wasn't just a
Connors in Tourist Trap is fucking such a great performance.
That's a great role.
I love the Tourist Trap so much.
He did. Chuck Connors. He embraced because he played a good guy for such a long time. He was looking to do something different because every time everybody saw him, they always thought about the Rifleman. So he did a lot of villain spots and a lot of played a lot of heavy sort of in a lot of horror movies to sort of break out of that.
Yeah, no, and I always like when actors try to do that and are active in trying to, push their boundaries.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you got a lot of actors that will just phone something like this in, but you see Donald Pleasance and you see the earnestness of his performance, and it's like, it gives the movie, added weight and depth to it. Like, okay, like I'm taking this really serious because you see how serious he is.
Oh, no. Like his two monologues in this movie, Pleasance as Loomis, about like him with the pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes and everything, and then his one about him staring there, like looking at the wall, looking past the wall and stuff. Those two monologues are like, I think, the greatest monologues in a film, like ever. Like they are fantastic to me. And a lot. It's so hard to separate nostalgia from, movies or music and anything. But like I first saw this when I was 5 years old. It was the first horror movie I ever saw, and it was on Halloween night. So it's fucking like almost fucking 30 years, and I can't separate nostalgia from it fully. But like every time I try to, and ask myself, like, is this really like the greatest use of music in a film? And like, is this really my favorite shot, like in a movie, or my favorite scene? And I try to like really think, and it's all yes still. Like it hasn't changed, which I think is just wild. Now, like so many years later, you still feel the exact same way about a piece of art.
There's a really good jump scare in this scene as well, which is like, it's not a cheap jump scare, it's building up to it. It's not.
There's violins going off and shit.
It's not.
At you.
It's not like we've had jump scare after jump scare at this point. It's just something to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's effective as well.
I was just talking about in my video for Kill Baby Kill, Mario Bava, how there's like 2 jump scares in that movie that are fucking amazingly done, and like you can't even really consider them jump scares at this point. Like the modern definition of how we define a jump scare today in horror films in the last like few decades, it's so amazingly done. But like Bava's a fucking master. So. I love how Loomis has his gun out like ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
And Brackett does fucking nothing. He's still like freaked out about the glass.
Are you fellas a fan of the TV, the Halloween 2 TV cut where like Michael is like 11 or 12, where you're just staring out?
I think
that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, That was always on when I used to watch it on USA Network and shit. They would have that scene because it is very weirdly edited, that whole like TV cut.
Yeah,
but I do like that scene a lot.
I just love that cut. I just think Michael looks really, really creepy in that scene. I just think it's so.
Yeah, that's a scene that should be in the movie.
And he's got blonde hair, which doesn't make much sense considering.
Yeah,
Kids go from blonde to brunette. They don't go from brunette to blonde. Not very often in my.
Oh, just this whole scene with him and Brackett. It's just so good. Lori is a good babysitter, though. I'll give her that.
Oh yeah, she was I agree with that.
Like at least she actually like engages with the kid.
I trust her more than I trust Corey.
Oh yeah, any day.
Yeah, let's just get some random guy.
Sure, yeah.
Let's just get some random guy to babysit our child.
What
could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. Yeah, let's blame him for an accident. Let's blame her for an accident.
Who? I mean, I don't know how it works in the States, but like, in the UK, we don't tend to hire men in the mid-20s to babysit our young children.
No,
it's not really a dumb thing. It's just like
we don't do that here either.
I was just gonna say, I didn't think that was a common practice.
Maybe like 20 years ago they would do that. Not anymore.
Like, has anybody done background checks on Corey?
Not apparently not, because he wouldn't even be in the movie. Like they did.
These those old school comic books.
That would have been yanked off like a bad performer on stage with a hook. He would have been taken right out of that movie and taken right to jail.
I don't want to see Lindsay in this film because it'll just remind me how badly she was used in Ends again. Just made a great character in Kills and then just like completely ruined her in Ends and did nothing with it. Didn't ruin her, but just did nothing with the character at all.
Yeah, no, I know. Such a disservice to her.
Kills is looking like a far better film every time I watch. Every time I kind of think about Ends.
Oh yeah. The boogeyman's outside.
I wonder why he went after them too. Like if he was fixated on Lori, why didn't he go after Lori first? But he went after all the other people too. Sort of interesting.
Yeah, like
he wanted to isolate her, I guess.
That's what I've always taken from it. Yeah, like from him stalking her.
Like he was isolated. Michael was isolated in the asylum.
Yeah,
he wasn't going to be walking around with general population at the asylum.
No, yeah, exactly, and it makes sense. Like it fits like exactly what you said. Like he's so used to isolation and stuff, so like, why not isolate her? I mean, PJ Souls was gorgeous back then, but like I've always loved Annie. Like ever since I first saw this movie, like she's so cute. She has just like such like a
pixie,
ditzy, bubbly personality and shit. Like she's adorable. Man.
Yeah. PJ Souls like the blonde bombshell character where she was
exactly.
More like girl next door.
Yeah,
and Lottie was kind of like the nerdy. Like Lottie was always like, I mean, in my opinion, the least attractive.
Yeah, no, for me too.
I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. She was, but
Oh, poor doggy.
Like if I was like the guy at the time, trying to date one of the girls, one of these three, I'd go for Annie every time because PJ Souls would just be like kind of just she'd be like the prom queen type who's just
Yeah.
too out of my league, and
No, Annie is just awesome.
the whole build up to her death as well. You barely see Michael.
Yeah,
It's just all you're looking for him in every shot,
it's
and he's
amazing.
barely there. But it's only at the very end in the car that he appears, and that was my point about ends. I think I mentioned it to you in the video we did. It's like in ends, you don't. He's nowhere. He is in this film. You don't really see him that often, but you feel like he's in every scene, every shot.
Oh,
in
yeah.
ends, you just don't think he's there. I think JT's not there now. I think JT's disappeared.
This is a nice touch right here. RKO.
I don't know where JT's. I think JT's Wi-Fi is
Buffering
briefly.
That thing. Later on, there's John Carpenter. 4 years later, he'd be doing that movie.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people when they come down, when you ask John, if you ask them what's their favorite John Carpenter movie is, there's a lot of people that actually say The Thing, a lot more than maybe even Halloween. I think overall, as the years gone by,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people like The Thing more.
It's definitely. I mean, I know JT. He's like he likes The Thing and then Halloween. I think most John Carpenter fans usually say it's either Halloween then The Thing, or vice versa.
Me, I always went for Escape from New York. I was my favorite.
I mean, that's probably my. It's difficult with Carpenter because I love The Fog as well. The Fog.
Yeah.
I don't think The Fog is as good a movie as Escape from New York, but there's something about the set, the setting, and just
right.
It's a movie I love watching at a set, like especially around this time of the year where it's like comfort food to me. It's a movie I can put on anytime at this time of the year and just watch.
Yeah, I can do that with I can do that one. I can do that with actually a few John Carpenter films. I can put that on. And the one movie I haven't seen that I want to rewatch again, that because he did a lot of films. Like I want to see The Ward. I've heard so much about that.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either. I keep my eye out for it, but I've never got a chance to get it yet. Now, see, the dog got killed. And
I've just heard such bad things about that film that I don't really want to spoil, the legacy of by watching something it's meant to be that bad.
You know what ruined the legacy for me? Not ruin it, but really disappointing. It was really disappointing. Was the Ghost of Mars?
Oh yeah, that was
movie was trash.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's just the sets were just beyond bad. I mean, it looked like a sixth grade high school production made those sets.
I don't know what sort of budget he had for that film, but like trying to do a sci-fi film, if you've not got the budget, then that could be an issue. So.
That was weird. My fucking laptop like overheated and shut down. I just put a fan on it. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I always thought it was such a weird line. Wait, hold on, Annie's ass looks great right now. But I always thought it was like a really such a weird line in this movie when Bob and Linda show up at the house later. It's a house X. And he's like, all right, first I'll take your clothes off, then you take my clothes off, then we'll take Lindsay's clothes off. That is such a fucking weird line, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're talking, they're talking about fucking like an 8-year-old girl. Like I never understood why that line exists in this movie. Like that is so fucking weird.
I think that's Kyle Richards plays the little girl, right?
What?
I think that's Kyle Richards that plays the little girl, right? Right there. That's Kyle Richards.
Yeah.
Her and her sister were big stars back then. Kyle stars.
See, this Annie scene now has been going on for like what 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's it's like
Yeah, building up to it.
drawing out the tension. It's
Oh yeah,
it's
it's
not a
great.
cheap, quick kill.
Yeah, like you think it makes you think like is she gonna get it when she's out in the in the outhouse in the laundry, or when she's stuck back there, or then like when she comes back in, then she goes back out, and like you're waiting the whole time, you know that it's coming. But like the way that he just draws it out, it's fucking masterful. Like it really is.
I'd like to know
Yeah.
what time, because you see trick or treaters run past the house there. So I'd be curious to know what time is this
Taking place.
So if there's young kids out trick or treating, you'd think maybe 7 p.m.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask JT if he got any if he heard any trick or treaters. We had trick or treaters outside here. I could hear outside my house. They're out there for probably an hour. I could hear kids and their parents going up and down the street for about an hour. Now it's all quiet now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything.
It's 8:14. It's 8:14, and they're already gone.
Yeah, it tends to be between 6 and 8, and then they've gone because they're little kids, most of them with the parents, so they do between 6 and 8, and then they're gone. So it just makes me wonder, like, at what time. I don't think it's ever been specified at the events where, like, when he kills Annie, like, what time is that actually happen? Is it? It feels like it's like maybe like 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it doesn't feel.
It could be earlier than that. It could be like 6:30. I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like late at all.
It's hard to know what day it is too. Like if it was like a school day, do you think these kids would probably be doing homework and getting ready for bed? But you got a feeling this happened on a Friday, so they're able to
on the weekend. Yeah.
Well, it's actually set, isn't it? Actually set in 78. So,
well, I guess yeah.
If you go back to the calendar,
yeah, you could look it up.
You could look it up. You could actually find out what day it was.
That's true. But of course, this also this right here is also you see this taking place in most horror movies now. Like the first 2/3 of the movie, nothing really happens too much. It's all about the last act and pushing everything through in the last half hour. And they did that. They did that in Friday the 13th too. Like nobody really got killed toward the last act, and then you start seeing it.
Yeah, it's just it keeps on building that tension and just has just such great atmosphere. Like everything about the way he shot this movie, and for a directorial debut, like it's unreal.
It was a Tuesday, Halloween in 1978.
I was just
I just googled it then. It was
I was
Tuesday.
just looking at it too. Yeah, I just went on. I just was about to say the same thing.
The wonders of Google.
So those motherfuckers.
It's funny. They really didn't show them going out trick or treating either. Like showed them at home, and you'd see the kids outside, but they didn't show them at any of the kids actually going outside and trick or treating.
Oh, we got Andy getting killed. Poor Andy. I've never seen like these kids are like how old? I forgot how old is Tommy in this? I think he's like 6 or 7. And like I've never seen 2 kids that young like obsessed with horror movies, like old horror movies like these guys. Like Lindsay has like been watching like a marathon of like fucking horror movies like for like 7 hours before she comes over. That's such a great shot. With Michael carrying Andy's body into the house.
Scared.
Can you hear me?
Oh, looks like we lost the beetle.
Yeah, no, he'll be back. He probably just had some type of issue. I think it's. I always wonder why dogs Michael has eaten, because I've been watching and covering the whole Halloween franchise this month, and 4 dogs he's eaten or killed, and then like a bunch of rats in the resurrection. I wonder. It's like because he can't like really just get in a cab and go to like McDonald's or like drive through like Wendy's. So like I guess like he just has to. He adapted to dog. I guess.
Well, there is some theory that Michael Myers did have one major weakness, and that was that he was terrified of cats. Like he couldn't handle that. That was one thing that scared him the most. So he stayed away from cats. And that's the reason why he went after dog and rat. And I always thought that was a pretty, it was pretty interesting seeing that.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. Because we see 2 dead dogs in this movie together.
Makes you really appreciate Loomis's drive on here. He's trying his very best. He's a one-man army, and he's trying his very best to save lives. And he's very dedicated to it because he understands what Michael Myers is. But I really wish to hell that they would again. It's like, man, they just dropped the ball completely on Halloween End. They just dropped it. I mean, they could have went so many different places with it.
I know, it's sad.
Oh, it frustrates me. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Loomis could have known that what had happened to him, and that's the reason why he's been tracking them ever since. And it would explain, well, why didn't you say anything to anybody? Well, how would that make me look? Could you imagine me going up to any sort of law enforcement and saying, yeah, he's cursed or he's underneath a spell? He'd be sitting back in the same funny farm that he worked at. Of course, he couldn't tell anybody.
No, but you're right. Just the dedication that he gave to this role.
Yeah,
and from all the movies he was in before this and stuff, like this was probably he was only on set for 3 or 4 days to shoot this. Yeah. Like all the scenes in like a few days. So this was probably just another movie. You know, like, all right, I'm just shooting another few days on this movie, then I'm moving on to this next movie and doing.
Yeah, but his performance doesn't do that, though.
And then it turns out being the movie that defines his entire career.
Right.
Like, I think that's incredible. Like, same with Betsy Palmer. Like, for people who grew up with like her when she was younger and stuff, with like, because she was an accomplished actress, so, like, people will know her. But like most people, you know, Friday the 13th. Like, anytime anyone mentions Betsy Palmer, that's the movie that she's known for. Which is amazing how it can just be like something that you take a role. You think it's just going to be some shitty, like, low budget movie that nobody's ever going to see, and then it just like, defines your career.
And she took the role because she needed a car. That's the reason why she took the role. And when they called her for it, she's like, you know, she said she never would have taken the role except that she needed a car. Her car had gone out, so she needed the money to get a car. So
she thought it was absolute garbage. She thought this good.
For a long time, she never praised the film. She never acknowledged it, stayed away from it. She said, "There, I've done other things other than this." And then, you know, as it always does, it seems like the older the actor gets,
they kind of embrace it more.
Right, they embrace it more.
You know what? I think what it is as well. It's like the older the actors get, when the hardcore horror fans they respect them more as they get older. You know, for what they did. But it's like
because you got more and more people seeing that their work.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they did when they were younger, like the people don't give a shit. You know, people forget. Whereas the horror fans, they remember. And they love them for it, so they kind of like latch onto that and go, oh yeah, you know what? The people who I thought were like fans of this, they've forgotten about me now. But you horror fans, you've stuck by me through all this, and like
exactly.
And I think it's like that sort of like appreciation.
I mean, look at. Let's put it this way: you don't see people putting together, you know, a convention based around 1950s and 60s, movie drama. You know, come to your favorite stars from now Voyager or the Magnificent Ambersons. You don't see that. You see horror movie conventions. You see the fans come out for those. You know, it's just like soap operas. You know, soap operas have their fans. You know, they're very dedicated. But you don't see them. You don't see those same fans going to. You know, hey, it's a comedy convention. Come on out. They won't go to that. They don't care.
Yeah, no, you're right. The horror community is such a very tight knit community.
I mean, I remember Adam West, from Batman. He got typecast terrible, yeah. And and he couldn't get anything really. He get guest work, but he couldn't live off that. He just hated it. But all of a sudden, he discovered conventions, and people were going to pay him money to sign stuff, and he just embraced it. He said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm also making money off of it," and he just did. And he did.
Yeah.
He did far better as a convention guest. I'm sure he made more money as a convention guest than he ever did as a working actor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the case with a lot of them. Like, and then it goes back into that whole thing. It's like, I guess as they get older, they learn to embrace it.
There's not that very many people that get killed in this movie either.
Yeah, no. Which is interesting because a friend of mine used to said once something that like really stuck with me. It's like slasher movies are my favorite subgenre of horror, and he said that that like Halloween is a perfect movie that has some slasher elements, but it's not a good slasher movie. And that like really like stuck with me because I was like, that's exactly how I fucking feel, but like never really like was able to put it like together in my head. And it makes sense. Like when I think slasher, I think more like Friday the 13th. Like you have a lot of kills. You have like good gore and practical effects. You have gratuitous nudity and titties all over the place and shit. Like all the 80s slashers. Halloween doesn't have any of that. Like you get like tiny like bit of that, but there's like no blood in Halloween. There's no gore or anything like that. It's just like
yeah. But how many people has he killed? He killed 3 or 4.
4, I think.
Fourth?
Kills Judith. He kills the guy who he takes his uniform off him. Annie and
Annie,
PJ
3,
Soul.
and 2, 5. So 5 and
Bob and Linda.
yeah.
Oh yes,
and,
sorry, Bob as well. Yeah, Bob. And,
yeah.
Sorry.
I think Bob. Bob gets stabbed, and then he strangles the other one. He strangles PJ Soul, and but there's no. You're right. It's not. They're not gruesome deaths. Well, Bob was. Bob looked pretty painful.
I mean, Annie tries to strangle her, and then just ends up like cutting her throat because she's making too much noise.
Yeah, you can't. I still don't. I can't tell what exactly he does to Annie. It looks like he like just sticks something in her throat.
I thought he gets a knife and
just slits her throat, right? Like, that's what I've always thought it was.
She's got a foot on the horn, and it's like making too much noise. So
yeah. And that's the cool thing is that he could have went gorier with that. Like that, you could tell that's absolutely 100%. That was a conscious decision to shoot that scene like that, to shoot Annie's death scene like that. Mm-hmm. Like he could have had it more graphic, but like he chose to shoot it from outside of the car.
He definitely showed a lot of restraint. You know?
Yeah, exactly. This is such a great scene. So. Wow. And just the mask is just perfect in this movie. Every other movie, the mask is nowhere near the first one.
This shows the strength of Michael as well, because Bob's not a small guy. You know, he's a pretty big guy. You know, he's like 6 foot, probably. Looks like a very well built guy, and he just lifts him with ease. And
again, it shows the supernatural side of it. You know.
Him with the sheet with the glasses is hilarious.
Yeah.
I can never work out what's going through his mind when he does this. It's like
I was just
it's playful, isn't it?
Why do this? Yeah, like why do this?
Yeah.
Like why not just go upstairs and just like kill her? Like it's like I mean I bless him. He has a sense of humor. Like Loomis always says, he's got no personality and shit. Nah, he's got his own sense of humor a little bit. But like, what is he thinking? Like doing this? Like, what's the point of this?
Yeah,
I've never understood that. Just unless he's just like interacting with her, and like he hasn't interacted with anybody really, like since he's been institutionalized forever, and he's just trying to like I don't know, like live vicariously through.
Yeah. Like, how could she not tell that the shape is bigger than Bob was?
Yeah, that's it. Like, you think you'd notice that height difference?
Yeah.
Again, this is another film which would probably be ruined by modern day standards, by this like smartphone technology. It just wouldn't work as well. Just the way.
Oh, you mean if it wasn't on a landline phone?
Yeah, it's just every little thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The one thing that's the thing, like the great thing about watching The Thing last night is that that film would be in 2022 would play exactly the same way. If people are shut off in the middle of the Antarctic, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Nothing's going to change. No one's going to come and get you.
I know. That's why I hope if they ever remake The Thing, I will be so fucking mad. Like the prequel was all right. Like I like the prequel. Except for
I like the prequel too.
Yeah, it's just the shame with the CGI that they forced onto the practical effects they did do. But like I like the story of it and stuff. But like, do not remake the original, like John Carpenter's The Thing. is a remake already. But like, don't ever fucking try to do like John Carpenter's again, because it'll be like in modern day, because it'll never work.
And I wonder how many channels are watching this tonight.
I was thinking the same thing earlier.
Like everybody watches this.
I was thinking, I was like, I wonder how many people are watching John Carpenter's Halloween right tonight.
See, at this point as well, like there's a kid trick or treating, and it looks pretty late now. Just
Yeah.
there's nobody around.
Sometimes teenagers will go out a little later.
Yeah, that's usually what always happens here in Long Island. Like, it's usually the teenagers come around to like 9, 10 o'clock. But like the kids, especially on school nights, if like we established already, it was on Tuesday, right? Like the kids would come around like 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, like something like that. Like pretty much
the
dark.
The smart kids do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had kids roll up here at 4:32, and it's like, well, you're here early, aren't you? And well, of course they are, because the longer they stay out, the more loot they get.
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole bunch of greatest of all times for me coming up in the next through the rest of this movie. Just the way that he used the score to the way that he did is fucking just phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant.
That's one thing he did wrong too. It's like when you do trick or treat, if you leave your porch light on, you get trick or treaters. If you turn it off, they don't come.
Yeah. All right, cool. Fucking speakers turned on for a second. Watch just from that second, fucking.
You're getting a strike. You're getting a copyright strike now.
Yeah, right. Like I heard a ding dong.
That door, the door's knocking. It's the YouTube police.
Yeah, exactly. Motherfuckers. I'll just take sound effect from their stupid audio library and I'll just like stack it on that, like where that second of audio came through. That way it's just like a dog barking, a pig squealing, a horse fucking neighing all together, so they can't tell that it has anything to do with the movie. I love how Michael kickstarted the nice trope of always having the best dramatic timing to let bodies just appear to scare the shit out of the final girl.
Yeah.
Jason has the same ability. Mrs. Voorhees in the first Friday had the same ability too.
Except that Mrs. Voorhees, she appeared to be a lot stronger than she should have been.
Oh, I laugh every time she throws what the fuck's her name? The one who gets with the archery range, and we don't see kill when she gets thrown through the cabin, and when Alice is there. I laugh hysterically because I picture Bessie Palmer lifting a body up over her head and tossing it through the window.
Or the guy stuck on the archery range with all the arrows in him, and yet he's stuck
on the door. Yeah, and he's like hanging up there. It's like the knife scene with Bob in here, but with fucking arrows, and it's just insanely stupid.
Yeah, then that was we cracked up when we did our deep dive on that. We're like, how does she do that?
Yeah, it's hilarious. And they don't see Ned's body when Kevin Bacon and Marcy go into the fucking
yep
on the it's eye level, like we see his body.
And he's fluffy too.
Yeah. That's what I love, and that's what I do in my videos. Every video is I just pick out stupid shit like that. And mix that with
we talked about the Scream movies earlier on. Like Scream 2. You got the two killers. One's like a guy like Timothy Olyphant, who's like 6'2".
I love Olyphant.
The other's the other's like a 5'5" woman.
There's
the one Ghostface like
mother.
There's a massive discrepancy in size difference between the two people. Obviously.
Yeah, I know, dude. That's why
it's just totally
seriously because they're fucking stupid.
And it's the same in Scream 5 as well. You've got like a tiny woman.
Yeah,
like a decent sized guy.
It's like
the same thing as Scream 4 with because Emma Roberts was the killer, right? She was she's tinier than Nev Campbell.
Yeah, she's not like 5 feet tall, about 100 pounds.
Yeah,
like,
and
where is her strength coming from?
It's so crazy. This is one of my favorite shots ever. Where Michael's just coming out of the room. The mask looks so fucking good right there. But he has the worst aim ever when it comes to Laurie for everything and throughout the whole franchise.
Is the 4K taking anything away from it? He
wasn't aiming towards
right here.
The presentation. There's no. I mean, who was that for? Yeah. Who was that for? I mean, I don't think it was for Laurie. I think it was for who was it? Law enforcement? I mean, because
this whole scene from her getting out with the rake, getting the rake out of the way and leaving until she gets back into the Doyle house, I think it's the most tense scene ever put to film, ever. The scene is so fucking tense, and how it keeps shooting back to Michael and stuff, and she's trying to get Tommy to open the door, and Michael's getting closer and closer, and the music and fucking it's perfect. And I love right there how Michael changes hands with the knife.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered if that was an improv on Nick Castle's part, or if that was in the script, because either way, I fucking love that. It's such a tiny detail. But man, she kills it with this scene, man. She really sounds like she's getting chased by a murderer.
And also too, you could hear. I was watching this earlier, and that's one thing I have to say about this too. I didn't remember this in the theatrical version, but he does. You can hear him breathe and grunt, and that was interesting too.
I've never really understood the neighbors who just refuse to let her in. They must recognize her. They must recognize who she is. She looks like. No, we're just gonna.
Yeah, and there are mad people that would do that.
And her hand would have been split open. So,
but just that shot there of just him coming from the house.
Yeah.
And then the way she delivers these lines when she says "Tommy, please," fucking dude, I get chills every time I watch this fucking movie. When I watch this scene,
You're just surprised that she just didn't hit the ground running and run down the street like like just kept running.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love it. I love that shit. She kills it with that delivery. And then the music just cuts as soon as the door shuts. It's perfect.
The keys. The keys.
Yeah, I don't see Michael getting through that fucking window like in that amount of time. I love how they shot this scene. That the light is only on her, like, and on the center of the couch, and like the rest of the room's completely dark. See, terrible Laurie aim.
So those kids didn't go trick or treating either, because that kid wouldn't have been moving that slow if he had, because he would have been so jazzed on candy, he would have been jittery as hell.
Yeah, I know, right? And like, I mean, yeah, I mean, she's like, what, like 18 at the most? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
18
Yeah,
years
look at
older
that.
than this, 19, whatever.
That
I would still, at that age, I don't think I would think I actually killed this guy with a sewing needle to the neck.
No, that's the one.
Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
get so like relaxed on the couch. Yeah.
See, I'm with you. If you were in a situation like that, you would just keep going until they stopped
like
you.
I would kind of like still have my guard up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Loomis is packing. Yeah, Loomis is packing.
The stairs, like in the background, and then you see his body coming up on the top of the stairs. That was such great shots. Like right there, you see his shadow coming up.
I killed him. No, you couldn't. You're not John Wick. Yeah. You can't kill the boogeyman. Well.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
That was a good effort, though. That was a good effort to draw him out.
Why Carpenter didn't just contact the company that made that piece, like to drop in the bucket compared to what the movie was making. because they knew a sequel was coming at some point, and they would have doubt the whole series.
Carpenter only did the first 2 films, right?
I love how we just.
Yeah, this is my funniest scene in the whole damn movie, though. This is the where she hits him with the clothes hanger, makes me laugh. When she hits him with the clothes hanger, when she stabs him, and he just like he acts like it's the like like she hit him with lightning, and yet he gets shot 6 times and gets up. That was a little miscalculation, I think.
Well, I mean, it was good thinking though. Like, I mean,
most people great thinking, but it was still
cowered up and just like just accepted their fate, you know. But yeah, I mean, the chances of hitting him square in the eye.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Oh. And just once again, that one-time stab. It's like, you just saw your friends die. You got your kids in there. Wouldn't you go out there and just stab that guy like 40 more times?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, to me, if I was a judge, we'd never convict. That's completely warranted. Some guy was killing your friends, your family, whatever, and like, you have every right when they're on the ground to chop them into a million pieces. This is my favorite shot in cinema ever. When he just sits up and then turns and looks at her. And then music starts. That's fucking just, it's fucking perfection.
I wouldn't sit him down there either. I would have grabbed them and ran out the front door.
All right. All right, Ava. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Halloween.
Oh, thanks for hanging out, Ava. Yeah, she's going to be doing a live here in a minute. Her and her husband are wonderful musicians.
Oh yeah, I play also. I play guitar for.
Do you?
22 years now. Yeah.
Yeah, she was. They play folk music, and yeah, it's beautiful.
Nice. I gotta check some of their music out. I'll send you. I got a playlist on my other channel of guitar covers and stuff. I'll send you it on Instagram if you want to check it.
Okay. Yeah, I like music.
Yeah, music's like my number one passion. Like horror is my second.
I was a talent buyer in California for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. You know, Loomis has spent a lot of time at the shooting range. He's very confident.
Yep.
Yeah, right in the head.
That was something about 2018, which kind of put a lot of people off. The fact that when they change things, so just after this scene, he just gets caught. It just takes away some of the mystique of him. You know what I mean? He's just caught. And gets hauled off to jail.
And like the whole thing with them like holding the mask, and then like the mask like being like magical, like somehow. Like with like all the rest of the lunatics going crazy just because the reporters holding the mask out.
But it's the fact that they hold the mask to the back of his head. They don't even show the mask to his face. It's like
when has the mask ever been that important to Michael? I mean, he wears it all the time, but like now it like supernaturally like controls him, like it pulls to him.
Oh God, yeah, I saw that people were saying that with the radio tower or something controlled the mask, and it's just like that was sort of goofy too. I heard people talking about that. It's like that makes no sense
because they already did the whole thing controlling Michael with the whole Thorn cult and stuff. And we know how most people felt about that, like Halloween 6.
I would have been a lot more down with the Silver Shamrock controlling him than having some cult do it. You know, the cult seems silly, but the Silver Shamrock, they've already established themselves in Halloween 3 as being truly evil and supernatural. On top of that, they've already established that. So there, you don't have to really work hard at that. You know, it's all there.
Yeah, it's very easy to tie it in, for sure. But all right, let's see. I got some video or two to make. Thank you guys so much for joining us, watching. This was,
I had a lot of fun.
Definitely a good little Halloween treat to watch Halloween with you guys.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. We will talk.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yes, nice meeting you as well.
Yeah, and Pat will talk this week, and Mike will talk soon, like always. So, everybody enjoy the rest of your Halloween night, and everyone who watched, thanks for watching.
Night, guys.
Bye.
Have a good night.